We can see.
You can see, right? I think today, no, Kavindra, it's going to be a historic day because first time we are trying a session from home. All these days,
Yes.
we used to come to the institute and I used to uh, present the presentation from there, even though you were at home. Because of this COVID-19 situation and the curfew situation, we did some trials last week and it worked. And today I'm presenting it from home. So in future, this may be the situation, right? Uh, because we have to get ready for all these issues. We don't know whether we can travel or all those things. Anyway, I hope you all are safe without any issues, right? I bless everybody, uh, good health because of this current situation. Uh, Most probably, this may be our last class in DIT, uh, but it is up to you since I can deliver it from home. I can arrange with Menaka and Kavindra, and I can do 1 or 2 question and answer sessions or anything. Anyway, uh, presentations wise, what I thought today I'm going to cover 4 topics: counter trade, entrepreneur trade, then SLISIC and EDB. Those areas I'm going to cover. And then, uh, anyway, before the exam, we have to meet physically for about 1 month. So there's a question mark there. We don't know when, because I have to do some what do you call this checking of documents, mock document checking with few people, and then I'll have to give the assignment of checking the document. So those things we can't do it online. It has to be physical. So I hope in time to come everything will be normalized. Well, even now, yesterday I saw some health guidelines. Under this situation, they are not allowing us to conduct classes physically. So once it is released, then we can meet and we can do some physical. Uh, we can have a physical classroom with hands-on checking of documents, and after that, I can give you the assignment, right, and the exam. Um, till the others, till the other people are joining. I don't know how many people are already joined now. I mean, how many people have joined? Kiतने कितना join लाती ना होते?
Still, I think 17.
17. 17 is not bad. So what I'm going to do is next week I will ask Menaka to upload 2 past papers so that you can have some idea about the past papers. There won't be any classes, and after that you can do those past papers and get ready for the exam. It will be like a study day, right? And if possible, I'll give you more past papers also, so that you can get more and more. You can practice, right? And then, if you want, I can send a message, and then we can have a class or two to discuss the questions. Those two or three question papers after 2 weeks or so, right? So we'll do it like that until everything gets normalized. Okay. Today I'm going to discuss with you uh, some of the peripheral areas of international trade. One is counter trade. One is counter trade. Now, what is counter trade? We know when we are doing international trade, we always exchange goods or services for money, for foreign exchange, right? The payments will be done in foreign exchange in money. But counter trade means exchanging goods or services which are paid for in whole or part with other goods or services rather than with money. In other words, the payments will be settled by another goods or services. No money getting involved. The main reason is some of the countries, there are some underdeveloped countries in the world, not like Sri Lanka, underdeveloped countries in the world, where their currencies are not, cannot be exchanged, right? Because you can't have transactions with their currencies, not convertible. Those currencies are not convertible to US dollars or sterling or euro or the main currencies. But those people also want to do some international trade. So this is the way they can do by doing international trade through counter trade, right? The common characteristics of counter trade arrangements is that export sales to a particular market are made conditional upon undertaking to accept imports from that market, right? Now, if you say country A is exporting certain goods to country B, but for that export, conceptually, country A should receive money from country B. But instead of receiving money, they have to be ready to accept some imports from that particular market because those currencies are not convertible, right? Why do countries wish to do counter trade? Right, one more. As for counter trader, some countries lack commercial credit or convertible foreign currencies to pay for imports, and therefore counter trade is needed to finance imports. Therefore, counter trade is needed to finance imports. Some developing countries use counter trade to boost their developing manufacturing industries, which will enable them to export more goods by means of counter trade arrangements. Some developing countries use counter trade to boost their developing manufacturing industries, which will enable them to export more goods by means of counter trade arrangements. Right? Some countries use counter trade as an instrument of their political and economic policies. Going forward, we will learn about these things. In a buyer's market, to obtain more trade or to obtain to obtain new. Can somebody read it?
New technology from another country.
New technology
from another country.
Technology from another country. Right? මගේ ඒකට වෙන එකක් පැටිලා. New technology from another country. Before we go forward, let's discuss about these things. Now, for example, some African, most of the time the counter trade are happening in underdeveloped African countries and Latin American countries, right? Where their currencies are not convertible. And especially for those people who are doing mining, diamond mining, zinc, tin, copper mining people, right? They have precious metals, but they don't know how to do the trading. And for mining, they need machinery and equipments. Now, when they buy machinery or equipments from developed countries like UK or France or US, they will pay them with either the end product, copper, tin, zinc, or diamonds or something, or some other goods. Some other goods, right? This is the exchange of goods, not the money, right? Right. We'll try to understand it with a problem and the possible solution. This way it's much easier. The UK exporter sells capital goods to a lesser developed country, LDC country, lesser developed country, right? Payment in the currency of the LDC due to LDC government restrictions on exchange control that prevents the UK exporter from converting the LDC currency into sterling. Now the payment in the currency LDC, less developed countries currency, you can't convert it to sterling. So UK exporter cannot take the money for the capital goods he has exported. The possible solution is UK exporter uses LDC currency to buy sugar from an LDC producer, not the one to whom the goods were sold, right? Now, unfortunately, I can't draw it in the whiteboard, right? ඔගලන්ගේ මේසුර කොලයක් තියෙනවා නම් කොලයක ඔගල ඇඳලා ගන්න. The UK exporter will export capital goods to LDC country, right? UK exporter put an arrow below the arrow, say capital goods to LDC country, right? The LDC country king then given the banning LDC currency, there's no issue, there's no value to the UK exporter. So what he is doing, if we say for the capital goods what he has sent, he has to receive 100,000 LDC currency, 100,000 LDC currency. Without taking the 100,000 LDC currency, in those countries, there are some other people who are in the manufacturing trade or agricultural trade, like sugar manufacturers, right? So the UK exporter will use that LDC currency to buy sugar from an LDC producer. You got it? To buy sugar from a LDC producer. That sugar manufacturer has nothing to do with the mining industry. He has exported a machinery for the mining industry. But for that, whatever the money he has to get, instead of getting the money, which is useless, he will purchase sugar with that particular money. Right? Then he will get sugar. He will get an import. Instead of money, he will get an import of sugar. අපේ සිංහලෙන් අපි කියන්නේ යන්න කොහෙද මල්ල පොල් කියලා අන්න ඒ වගේ තමයි. යන්න කොහෙද මල් පොල් වගේ තමයි මේක එන්නේ කියන්නේ. හරි කියලා යන්නේ වෙන වැඩක් නැති අදාළ නැති එකකින් තමයි කරකිලා එන්නේ. Right? ඊගවට then sugar will be disposed to some other local merchant for sterling. Now UK needs sugar now. In UK people they consume sugar. They need sugar. So that guy, the machinery exporter, when he received the sugar from the LDC country, he will sell it to one of the sugar distributors in UK. සමාජයක් අඩුවට දෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. වෙන අනිත් අයට වඩා අඩුවට හරි එයා දීලා දානවා. right? එතකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඒ sugar වලට හම්බ වෙන්නේ යාර සල්ලි හම්බ වෙන්නේ UK වල ඉන්න trader කෙනෙක්ගෙන් in sterling. So ultimately for the machinery that he has exported, he has got sterling to his hand, but with a U-turn transaction. Did you understand? Any questions? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. So any questions? No. Good. Forms of industrial counter trade, right? There are 6 types of counter trade. Right? මම තව එකක් ඔයගොල්ලෝ කියන්න කියලා හිතුවා. මෙතෙන්දී the UK exporter, right? UK exporter අපි දැන් මම මේකට පොඩි values ටිකක් දෙන්න. values ටිකක් දෙන්න. අපි හිතමු 10,000 worth of sterling pounds, the capital goods worth of 10,000 sterling pounds. So he is getting sugar from the LDC country. සමහරට අරයම organize කරනවා. LDC country එකේ sugar වලට per ton maybe about 100 or 100 pounds or 125 pounds per ton. Those are cheap. ඉතින් අන්තිමේදී මේගොල්ලෝ ඔක්කොම ටික sugar ටික ගෙනාවට පස්සේ after he sells the sugar internally, sometimes he might get more money than if he receives the money from the importer's country. The අපේ වගේ country එකකින් නම් එන sterling 10,000 වලට වඩා වැඩියෙන් he may be able to collect more than 10,000 pounds, right, by selling sugar. ඉතින් ඔය වගේ වාසි තියෙනවා. අවාසිත් තියෙනවා. There are 6 types of counter trade. One is offset. Offset means traditionally been used by governments around the world when they have made major purchases of military goods or high technology goods, but is becoming increasingly common in other sectors. දැන් මේගොල්ලෝ ගොඩාක් Eritrea, then Djibouti වගේ underdeveloped countries තියෙනවා. Right? ඒවා ගොඩාක් මේ counter trade වලදී මේකේ කියවලා බලනකොට ඔයගන්ට සෑහෙන ඉන්ටරෙස්ටිං මේ ඒරියා එකේ articles කියවලා බලන්න කොහොමද මේගොල්ලෝ කරන්නේ කියන එක. The superpowers like UK, France, Germany, US වගේ superpowers, what they do is they will get platinum, zinc, tin, copper, okay, highly valued, very expensive metals from those countries, because you can play around with those countries. Kerala, etika megulu aragana, they need those metals to manufacture aircrafts, rockets, ships, to build ships and all. They need these things. And for that, and in return, what they will give them is these people will supply arms and ammunition and especially weapons to those underdeveloped countries, and they in return they get precious metal, right? ඊගාවට දැන් ඔය වගේ military goods යන්න මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඒ රටවල් military goods වලින් ඒ රටට දෙනවා, මේ රටට දෙනවා. දීලා මේගොල්ලෝ මොනවද කරන්නේ? French people are very famous for this, more than the British guys, right? This is what they do. මේගොල්ලෝ කරන්නේ ඒ අල්ලපු රටවල් දෙකේ ගාව දෙගොල්ලන්ට ගහගන්න සලස්වනවා. මොනවා හරි border issues create කරලා කෙලිම කියන right ගහන්න අපි ඔයාලට ආයුධ දෙන්න. මේ ආයුධ දෙනවා. අර මිනිස්සු රටවල් ඔක්කොම සූරා කරනවා. අනිත් රටවල තව කවුරුහරි තව කන්ට්‍රියක් ආයුධ දෙනවා. දීලා ඒ රටේ ඔක්කොම goods ටික මේ import metal ටිකත් අනිත් රට ගන්නවා. මේ මොඩේ දෙවලෝ මේ අපි supply කරන military goods වලින් ගහ ගන්නවා. right? ඔන්න ඔයගේ situation එකක් තමයි ඔය offset එකට එන්නේ. counter purchase හැබැයි මෙතන මේකක් තියෙනවා මේ 6 types ම එකට එකක් overlap වෙවි යන්නේ. ඒතර හිතන්න එපා මොකද වෙන්නේ කියන එක. Just to get some idea. Counter purchase. A foreign supplier undertakes to purchase goods and services from the purchasing country. A foreign supplier undertakes to purchase goods and services from the purchasing country, that is importer, as a condition of securing the order. Counter purchase is generally imposed for two reasons. First, to stimulate exports, and second, in alleviate the balance of payment deficit resulting from imported goods. Right? Then මේගොල්ලෝ අර එකක් තමයි to stimulate exports, අනිත් එක තමයි balance of payment deficit එක resulting from imported goods. ඒකත් අපිට මගේ අරනවා. balance of payment එකේ අපි we have to pay foreign currency, you know? If it is imports, we have to pay money. Instead of paying money, we do some other exports. Right? counter purchase කියන්නේ ඒක. The tolling. Tolling, in a tolling deal, a supplier himself provides the raw materials, for example, steel ingots, and hires capacity of the factory to turn into finished goods. For example, steel tubes. There are certain countries, their labor is cheap, very cheap labor. So, and these superpowers, they go and set up a factory. They go and set up a factory in those countries. And then they supply that factory with raw materials. That is steel ingots. ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැකලා තියෙන්නේ ලංකාවේ තර steel corporation එකට containers නෙමෙයි අර තට්ටු ලෝරි වල යන්නේ ලී යකඩ කඳන් වගේ steel ingots කියන්නේ යකඩ කඳන් වගේ. ඒක දෙනවා. ඒක අපි යවනවා. යවලා අර factory එකේ they turn into finished goods, steel tubes. Right? These are then bought by the final customer who pays the supplier in cash. Right? The final කියලා දෙකක් කියලා තියෙනවා. එකක් කපලා දාන්න. Throughout the process, the supplier retains ownership of the material as it is processed by the factory. The මෙතෙන්දී supplier, the foreign supplier who supplies the steel ingots or the raw materials, right? And he will get that particular factory to turn into finished goods, steel tubes. These are then bought by a final customer. It doesn't get our third party, final customer will pay the supplier. Will pay the supplier in cash and purchase the good. Then we will export goods to whoever the final buyer. එතකොට මේ රටට තියෙන වාසිය මොකද්ද? අපිට තියෙන වාසිය මොකද්ද? අර LDC country එකට තියෙන වාසිය මොකද්ද?
Employment opportunity.
Very good. Employment opportunity. Right? They get free employment opportunity. ඒකත් හරිම අඩු මේ payments වලට. Right? එතකොට because cheap labor. In cheap labor අරගෙන මේගොල්ලෝ මේ අර රටත් සන්තෝෂයි. හැබැයි අර මිනිස්සු හැදෙනවා. පැත්තකින්. The suppliers. Right? That we call it tolling. එක කාලයක් තිබුණා ලංකාවේ 1972-3 වල විතර වගේ when Mrs. Bandaranaike was in power, she got the steel corporation of Orwell Steel Corporation as a gift from Russia. As a gift from Russia. I am also staying close to the steel corporation. අපිට ඒ දවස්වලත් අපිට මතකයි අපි පොඩි කාලෙත් අපිට මතකයි we used to wait at the gate and see how these steel ingots are being transported to අපිට magic වගේ steel ingots are transported to the steel corporation, steel factory corporation උනේ පස්සේ steel factory එක. එතකොට ඒකේ ඔක්කොම know how එක Russians අදිලා තියෙනවා. And after that Russians they themselves buy the thing or we sell it to some other person. අපි agreement එකක් තිබුණා. Now it is 100% Sri Lankan owned business. Right? අපිට ගොඩාක් employment opportunities, the people who are staying in අතුරුගිරිය ඔරුවල ඔය area එකේ ඉන්න කට්ටිය දන්නවා how many people are getting employed in those factories. Data අපිට පේනවා hundreds of people are going, hundreds of people. Right? Then අපිට අපේ පැත්තට හොඳයි. හැබැයි අනිත් පැත්තෙන් සූරකෑමක් වෙනවා. Right? Right. The fourth method, we call it barter. Barter system. Barter system is not barter shoes. Huh? Barter, එක BATA මේක BARTR. Barter is one of the most common method of counter trade. Barter trading was there even before this exchange of money systems came into effect. We had barter system in the world, exchange of goods, right? In a barter deal, goods are exchanged for goods. The principal export is paid for with goods or services from the importing market. A single contract covers both flows, and in the simpler case, no cash is involved. Right? Do you know in Sri Lanka, do we have barter system? Do we have barter trade? Can you come back to some answers? Penny? You're not there? Hmm?
සර් පෙනී ඉන්නවා.
Penny ඉන්නවා. හැබැයි Penny ඉන්නව නොපෙනී ඉන්න. මට පේන්නේ නැහැ නොපෙනී ඉන්නවා. Right, කමන්න නැහැ කියන්න බං. දන්නවද? In Sri Lanka do we have? දන්නේ නැහැ. No idea. Answer is no idea.
So can it be the garment factories and the UN where they get the raw material from other countries and they give the finished product? Is it something like barter? I don't know much of that.
That is because they get the raw materials and they do stitching and then going back to them, no?
Yes.
ඒක නෙමෙයි. That is not barter.
Okay.
ඒක ඇවිල්ලා tolling වගේ.
Sorry.
දැන් මෙතන barter කියන්නේ we exchange goods for goods or services. Right? මේක ඇවිල්ලා completely different goods. මේක තමයි ලෝකෙ ඉස්සලාම ඇතිවෙච්ච trading. Trading system එක barter. Barter system was the initial trading system in the world.
Yeah, which we learned in the first one.
Yeah. In fact, even I was thinking because your not knowing this is excusable. Even I thought it is not happening in countries like Sri Lanka. But recently in the sense about few years back, I came to know there are circles within the traders that they do trading through barter system, right? For example, I will not mention the names because most of the guys are well-known personalities in their respective fields. Well-known personalities, right? There is a ring of friends in one of my friends, very close friends, right? Whose wife is also a senior banker, right? And another husband of a leading corporate financial director, right? Where the husband is a well-known, very popular wedding photographer, right? මගේ යාළුවෙක් ඉන්නවා, he owns a garage. He's a mechanic. uh, well-known guy, and he owns a garage, and he attends to most of the vehicles of those people. Antimedi megullange tuna circle එක my friend repairs the car, and the cost he will not take in cash. They will open an account to that other guy. For example, I say, you say wedding photographer. Wedding photographer එක car එක හැදුවට පස්සේ එයාගේ account එකේ credit එකක් තියෙනවා දැන්. අරගේ එන්න තියෙනවා. ඔය වගේ ඇවිල්ලා I was surprised that my friends, the garage guy, his one of his sons got married, right? මුළු wedding එකේම 4 lakhs විතර video coverage එකයි, wedding photographs, albums ඔක්කොම සේරම මේක කළේ wedding photographer without paying a cent. අර එයා ටික කර අවුරුද්දක් එකමාරක් තිස්සේ එයා කරපු අරයාගේ සර්විසස් වලට එකතු වෙච්ච සල්ලි. right? ඒකේන බට services යන්නේ goods or services, they exchange, right? තාමත් ඒ සර්කල් එක තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේ තවත් ඇති. මම හිතන්නේ අපේ ට්‍රේඩර්ස් ලගේ සමහර විට තියෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? Then compensation or buybacks deals, but internationally I don't have any experience. මේක locally මම දැක්කේ compensation or buyback deals. Buyback is a form of a barter that is favored by some Eastern European countries. Soviet bloc. Suppliers of capital goods agree to be paid by the future output of the factory they are supplying. Suppliers of capital goods agree to be paid by the future output of the factory they are supplying. Right? For example, ICI could sell a chemical processing plant and take part of the plant's future output of chemicals as payment. And ICI, International Chemical Industries, ICI, world leading paint manufacturers, chemical manufacturers, ICI, could sell a chemical processing plant to these Eastern European countries and take part of the plant's future output of chemicals as payment. එතකොට buybacks, compensation or buybacks deal. Then switch or swap trading. Switch or swap trading. Switch or swap trading කියන එකත් මට මේකත් තිබ්බනම් ඔය ලස්සනට ඇදලා ඔයගන්ට explain කරන්න තුනා. Imbalances in long-term bilateral trading agreements to sometimes lead to the accumulation of accumulated credit surpluses in one or other country. These surpluses can sometimes be tapped by third countries for financing their exports to the country. Such transactions are known as switch or swap deals because they typically involve switching of the documentation of the goods on the high seas. Right. Let me also draw something. Then explain. Now, for example, if you take 3 parties, top line එකේ A, B, ඊගාට AB මැද්දෙන් පල්ලෙහාට එන්නේ C කියලා කියන්නේ. ඒක triangle එකක් වගේ එන්නේ. ABC කියලා එන්නේ. එතකොට now A will supply goods to C. A will supply goods to C. A will supply goods to C, and C has to pay A. Without paying, A will accumulate the credit surpluses, right? So ඒකේ තියෙනවා පැත්තකින් ඒගොල්ලෝ ලියා ගන්න ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ජර්නල් එකේ they have to get certain amount from C, right? ඒ අතරේ C also supplies to B. C supplies to B some other goods, not the one they have got it from A. They supply some other goods to B. Export කරනවා. කළාම දැන් C ගාවත් තියෙනවා then now B has to pay C. B has to pay C. So instead of B paying C, the C can ask B to pay A. Switching or swap trading. Instead of paying C, they will ask B to pay A. So that outstandings of C's lying with A will get wiped off gradually. Right? මේක එහාට වටේට යන්නේ. Right? මම දැන් කොලේක මම ඇන්දා ඉතින් ඒ වගේ උගන්ට ඇන්දනම් ඒකේ ඉඳන් C එකට arrow එකක් දැම්මනම් ඊළඟ C එකේ ඉඳන් B එකට arrow එකක් දැම්මනම් එයාට ඊගාට යන්නේ B එකේ ඉඳන් A එකට arrow එක. Right? So these type of deals, they typically involve switching of the documentation of the goods on the ICs, you know, right? Okay. So this is what we call counter trade. Now, the important thing in counter trade is there's no goods involved. There's no money involved. Only goods against goods, or goods against some services, vice versa. Right? Any questions before I move on to the other one? Okay. Additional risk faced by the exporters in counter trade. Additional risk faced by the exporters in counter trade. The cost of counter trade might exceed the exporters' expectations. Right? Common sense. The cost of the counter trade might exceed the exporters' expectations. The exporter might be pushed into agreeing to accept large quantities of unmarketable goods. Exporter might be pushed into agreeing to accept large quantities of unmarketable goods. Now, for example, the earlier example where we talk about country that exports mining machinery, okay, he got sugar, it's okay, marketable. But if he receives something else which he cannot market in his own country, then there's no point. Right? The importer's country might place an unrealistically high value on the goods they wish to counter trade. කොහොමද ඒ වැඩේ? underdeveloped country එක ඒක ඒගොල්ලොත් කපටේ කොහොම හරි the importer's country might place an unrealistically high value on the goods they wish to counter trade. Now, the first example, mining machines to LDC country අපි ගත්තනේ sugar. එතකොට මේගොල්ලෝ කරන්නේ they increase the value of the sugar. They increase the value of the sugar unrealistically. Even for example, in the world market, if the sugar ton of a 1 ton of a sugar is, if you say 200 pounds, these people might quote it 1 ton equals to 250 pounds. Unrealistically high value, right? Ekat disadvantage, that's additional risk. Since several parties are likely to be involved in a counter trade arrangement, it will increase the risk of cancellation of an export order due to one party failing its contractual obligation. Other example again, LDC country, as counter trade, they give sugar, right? Then කොහොමරි අර sugar දෙන මනුස්සයා sugar දුන්නේ නැත්නම් මොකද වෙන්නේ? And machinery export කරන මිනිහා අමාරුයි. එයාට සල්ලි ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ. LDC currency එක අරගෙන වැඩකුත් නැහැ. It cannot be converted, right? So ඔය issues in the law. All right. Do you have any questions? Right. එහෙනම් මම යනවා අනිත් එකට. ඒකෙත් මම සර්කියුලර් එක මට දෙන්න විදියක් නැහැ. මම ඔයගොල්ලොත් එක්ක සර්කියුලර් එක සෙන්ට්‍රල් බැංක් සර්කියුලර් එක ෂෙයා කරගන්නම්. You can get a printout if you have a computer at home. Central bank web එකට ගිහිල්ලා මේක download කරගන්න පුළුවන් මේ circular එක. Now we are going to talk about another very important area. If you see these past papers, you will see in most years either you have received on-report trade as an assignment or as a question or as an assignment. On-report trade, right? This is one of the very important international trade tool for countries like Sri Lanka, right? ඒකෙන් තමයි අපි මේ ගොඩක් අපි discuss කරන්නේ. Do you have on-report trade customers in your banks, my dear? කවුරුහරි ඉන්නවද on-report trade customers ලා ඔයගොල්ලෝ deal කරන කට්ටිය trade finance department එකේ or credit department?
ඉන්න සර්.
මොකද මේ bank එක? What is the bank?
NTB.
NTB. Is that yeah, Penny?
Yes sir.
Right, Penny. You have on-report trade customers, right? So
Yes sir.
that's interesting. Very rarely I'm getting this answer, right? Because most of the people, maybe they are not familiar with on-report trade customers, but this is something where we can encourage, we should encourage more and more people. That is why we are giving a very high priority for on-report trade subject in our syllabus. Because this is what we want to promote. Right? Now, in on-report trading, if you take, please take down certain notes, right? Because I have not put down everything in this, what do you call this, presentation, but I'm thinking of discussing this in detail so that there will be a lot of things which I might mention, which is useful to you if you get a question on on-report trade, right? On-report trade, what is on-report trade? කියලා කෙලින්ම නිකන් අහන්නේ නැහැ. අපිට අහන්න පුළුවන් whether does the entrepot trade receive the attention it deserves? අන්නේ වගේ question එකක්. අමාරු නෑ. හරිම ලේසි. common sense වලින් උත්තර ලියන්න පුළුවන් පාඩම් නොකර. හරියට අහගෙන ඉඳලා ඔයගොල්ලෝ පොඩ්ඩක් jot down කරගන්න. Right? Now, when it comes to entrepot trade, the slide says entrepot trade are trading transactions where a middleman in one country buys goods from a seller in a second country and sell them to a buyer in the third country at a profit and with a minimum value addition and without changing the character of the goods or even without any value addition. Right? I will discuss a few things, right? So with that you can get some idea. If you want, you can jot down notes wherever necessary. Now, when we talk about the globalization of the world markets, right? The globalization of world market is largely due to the service sector. More than the capital goods sector, the service sector plays a major role, right? Services makes a large part of the world economies, increasing in importance of most developing countries, right? Now, for example, services range from 39% of GDP in a country like Nigeria. In a country like Nigeria, out of their GDP, 39% is service sector. But when it comes to countries like Hong Kong, that is Chinese Hong Kong, right? It is about 89%. 89%. Singapore, almost 90%. They are majority service sectors, right? Now, for example, businesses and professional services. If you talk about the businesses and professional services, those things will comprise a large number of variety of subgroups. For example, this includes educational services, accountancy services, legal services, port services, medical services, engineering services, construction services. There are so many. Think about Sri Lanka, right? We have so many things. We have medical services, right? We have accountancy services, educational services. How many foreign students are coming here to learn, right? How many foreign patients are coming to Sri Lanka for treatments, medical services, right? Then our companies, construction companies, they do construction work in overseas. Mostly the African countries, most of the constructions are done by Sri Lankan companies, right? But at the moment in Sri Lanka, our export of services are limited, not like countries like අපිත් Nigeria level එකේ තමයි අපිත් ඉන්නේ. අපි ඊටතර අඩුවෙන් යන්නේ. right? Nigeria 39% වත් අඩු ගන්න තියෙනවා. අපි එච්චරවත් අපි ඉන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි Singapore, Hong Kong වගේ countries, they mainly focus on the service sector in international trade. right? Uh, so we have good potential. We have a good potential to develop this trade-oriented services sector in Sri Lanka, right? Uh, and also, it deserves more attention. It deserves more attention from the government at the moment. Government is supporting that sector, but actually, a question is a very, very valid question is whether this sector is supported adequately, right? Uh, so, in simple words or in simple terms, entrepreneur trade involves importing goods from one country for the purpose of re-exporting to another, right? If you want, you can write down in simple terms, entrepreneur trade ලියන්නේ ENTER sorry TER නෙමෙයි TRE ENTRE PRT entrepreneur pronounce is entrepreneur. Entrepreneur trade involves importing goods from one country for the purpose of re-exporting to another. Now, in the world, the most famous entrepreneur trade centers are London, Hong Kong, Amsterdam, and Singapore. Amsterdam and Singapore, right? Those countries, they depend heavily on this service sector. Then there is a great potential for entrepreneur trade in Sri Lanka, especially under the commercial hub regulations introduced by the government, right? There's a big potential. These regulations are expected to bring new changes, revolutionary changes in the development of trade and investment in the country. But in most of the countries, due to the nature of the state regulations, most of the countries, they have controls, exchange control regulations, controls. Then they impose taxes imposed by authorities, right? And when you're having all those things, that citizens in that country cannot get involved, engaged in entrepreneur trade profitably because they have to pay taxes. They have to pay, they are under exchange control regulations, right? In this respect, Sri Lanka is a better place. Sri Lanka is a better place because the government has given a lot of encouragement and benefits to the traders who do entrepreneur trade. So, in other words, in Sri Lanka, they say cargo from one point to the another to a middle port without any import or export levies, no duties, right? And but only thing is those goods cannot be bring into the country. They have to be stored in bonded warehouses. It has to be stored in bonded warehouses, right? This particular slide, when a buyer from another country makes inquiries of certain goods, the middleman will check the ability to those goods with his suppliers in other countries and their prices. based on the price, other costs involved, the middleman quote a price to the buyer. If they agree, he enters into a purchase contract with the supplier and sales contract with the buyer. Right? The maker, mata pengapo, maker adinang, ugulut product, and the gun, and the gatto, make a lazy. To your left side, you can say country A කියලා දාලා circle කරලා දාන්න. ඊගාවට B කියලා දාන්න පල්ලෙහාන් A එකට ඉස්සරහම C කියලා දාන්න. අර ඉස්සෙල්ලා එක වගේමයි. triangle එකේ කොන් තුන. triangle එකේ කොන් තුන. එක කොනක A අනෙක් කොනේ C අනෙක් කොනේ B. Right? Now, sometimes the country C, country B එකට දාන්නකො යටින් ලියන්නකො ශ්‍රී ලංකා කියලා. SL Sri Lanka. Country C is inquiring us for certain products. And then they will, for example, example එක මම explain කරන්නම් ඕගොල්ලන්ට. Country B කියලා මම ගත්තේ ශ්‍රී ලංකානේ. A merchant, a trader in Sri Lanka, he has got a inquiry from importer in country C, to import Barbie dolls. Barbie dolls again, ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ චුටි කාලේ ඉඳන් ගන්නමයි ආසාවෙන් තියාගන්න එක නේද? ඒක නම් දාගෙන, right? Barbie dolls. Then Barbie dolls will have to manufacture and supply. We have got a good market tech අපිට දැන් දීලා තියෙනවා. හොඳ price එක quote කරගෙන තියෙනවා. එහෙම තියෙද්දි now we'll have to manufacture the Barbie dolls. So this guy, the trader in Sri Lanka, country B, මෙයා කරන වැඩේ, instead of manufacturing, he goes to China. Country A, he goes to China. Right? අපි country C කියන එක අපි ගමු නයිජීරියා කියලා. අපි country C නයිජීරියා. නයිජීරියා තමයි මේ අපිට offer එකක් දීලා තියෙන්නේ. Country A කියන්නේ China. Country B කියන්නේ Sri Lanka. So this guy goes to China, Beijing trade fair එකට යනවා. හරි Peking trade fair එකට යනවා. ගිහිල්ලා he will see whether he can get Barbie dolls from there. Wholesale, container loads. So there he will see, okay, for example, if he has quoted the Nigerian guy, api quote karla dena, US dollars 10 per unit, per Barbie doll. US dollars 10 per Barbie doll. Emma karla tiyeddi, meya China gila beluwama, China trade fair ekidi, ehe tiyena, if you take bulk in container loads, they are prepared to give the Barbie dolls at US dollars 3 per unit. US dollars 3 per unit. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා පිරිමිලාවෙන් නම් දන්නවද මම දන්නේ නැහැ. ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ පොඩි අයට සමහර වෙලට Barbie dolls ලා අරන් යනවා. Barbie dolls ලාගේ අර cellophane wrap එක දාලා boxers වල දාලා cartons වල ඒවා තමයි එන්නේ. ඒක නම් print කරලා. ඒගොල්ලන්ට ඒක නම් තියෙනවනේ. ඉතින් ඒවා දාලා print කරලා ඒව තමයි එන්නේ. හැබැයි මේන Barbie dolls ලා container again නිකම්ම එක bulk එක. No packing, nothing. Pay $3 per unit. The $3 per unit මේගොල්ලෝ බාබිඩෝල් හම්බුනාට පස්සේ the guy in Sri Lanka, in the country B, without taking the goods into the country, he takes the goods to a bonded warehouse within the port. Bonded warehouse within the port. Right? අරන් ගිහිල්ලා දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ අඳින්න arrow එකක් A to B. A to B, the raw materials, right? එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ අපි raw material කියලා ගමුකෝ. ඒක තමයි raw වෙන්නේ. Right? A to B. arrow එක. එතකොට මෙතන B එකේ මේගොල්ලෝ මේ bonded warehouse එකේ තියාගෙන they get concessionary rates to use the bonded warehouse. The government has given a lot of benefits. They get 21 days free. 21 days free. Right? Where 21 days free hambunama bonded warehouse එකේ then මේගොල්ලෝ දඩිපිටි ගාලා girls ටිකක් දාලා පවුලක් පිස්සක් වගේ කට්ටිය දාලා boxes ටික හදලා තියෙන්නේ. එළියම box එකට දැම්මා අර බාබි ඩෝල්ව wrap එක කළා. ඒකේ නම ගම ඔක්කොම තියෙනවා. එහෙම කරලා then they sell it to Nigeria at US dollars 10 per unit. US dollars 10 per unit pay karna. Right? So the difference in price minus all cost is the middleman profit. So difference in price, right? Difference in price minus all cost. That is 10 minus 3, right? 10 minus 3 කියන්නේ 7. 7 තමයි ශ්‍රී ලංකා එක්කනාගේ profit එක වෙන්නේ, middleman's profit. But he has to add some more. තවත් අඩු වෙන්න all cost. එතන 3 විතරක් නෙමෙයි. මෙතන අපි හිතමු මේකෙන් අඩු කළා කියලා 6ක් කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ cost of the product raw material 3. අතන salaries අරම වෙන්න තව 3 ගියා. 6 ගියා. ඒත් එයාට එනවා $4 profit එක. $4 profit එකක් එයාට එනවා. Right? Supplier ship the goods as instructed and submit documents through banking channels to middleman. දැන් අපි බලමු දැන් කොහොමද මේක එන්නේ කියලා. Normally these goods for entrepot trade, those goods are being stored in bonded warehouse until exported. Right? In Sri Lanka, under the custom ordinance, a bonded warehouse is defined as an approved place in which goods may be lodged, kept, and secured without payment of duty, but prohibited to be used in Sri Lanka. But prohibited to be used in Sri Lanka. You can't use it in Sri Lanka. You have to keep in the bonded warehouse. Right? එතන මේ bonded warehouse එකේ තියෙනකොට මං කිව්වා 21 days දෙනවා free time එකක්. Bonded warehouse වල 21 days දෙනවා. මේ bonded warehouses, there are two types of bonded warehouses in Sri Lanka. One is public and private bonded warehouses. One is public bonded warehouses, that's a government one, and there are few private bonded warehouses also located within the ports. Right? located within the ports. Now, for the bonded warehouses, we have the ability to import goods. We have the ability to import goods without payment of import duties, taxes, or any other import control license fees. So it's a very good opportunity for the middleman in Sri Lanka, right? Sometimes without adding any value, we can get the finished Barbie dolls from China at a price of $5, right? And export to Nigeria, see, at $10. Again, right? Abay metendi api origin එක අපි කියන්න වෙනවා කොහෙන්ද originally ආවේ කොහෙන්ද කියලා අපි ඒක කියන්න වෙනවා, right? ඉතින් මේක හොඳ chance එකක්. එහෙම නැත්නම් තවත් එකක් තියෙනවා ඕනනම් දැන් අලුත් circular එකේ හැටියට තියෙනවා. Even without coming to Sri Lanka, once we have the agreement with the Nigeria, if the China one is completed one, if we can get a completed one from China without coming to Sri Lanka, අපිට මෙතනින් ඉඳන් කෙලින්ම අරින්නත් පුළුවන් නයිජීරියා වලට. එහෙම නැත්නම් port එකට ආවා වෙන ship එකකට දැම්මා, ඒක නැත්නම් වෙන aircraft එකකට දැම්මා, ඒක අරන් ගියා නයිජීරියා වලට. එහෙම වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්, right? Without adding any value. ඔය හැම විදියටම අපිට වෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? The middleman arranged with his bank to substitute bill of exchange and the commercial invoice received from the supplier with his own documents for the higher values and present them to the buyer, right? The final buyer will pay and obtain documents to clear goods. From the proceeds received, the amount due to the supplier is paid and differences is paid to the middleman, right? The exact operation will depend on the method of payment used for the settlement of two contracts. Very important, right? When you make a download karaganda, just write down this reference circular reference number, Central Bank of Sri Lanka, reference 06/04/2013. Central Bank direction. Go to Central Bank web, go for directions. May reference number. You can get the circular on entrepot trade, right? AK Sina very clearly, authorized dealers are hereby informed that they may facilitate requests for import and export of goods for entrepot trade subject to following conditions. 1. Entrepot trade shall be carried out in one of the following methods. Goods imported be stored in a customs bonded warehouse until they are re-exported to a third country. That is one. The second way is repacking, relabeling, simple processing of goods imported be carried out in a custom bonded warehouse, bonded area before exporting to a third country. We can do repacking, relabeling, simple processing of goods. Shirts ගෙනල්ලා shirts අපිට boxes දාලා අරන් දෙනවා. අපි shirts මහානේ කරන්න මොකුත් නැහැ. කොහොම ගාන්ට එනවා. ඒ ටික අපි boxes වල දැම්ම label කරලා යවුවා price එක ගහලා. Exportation of goods directly from a second country to a third country without the goods physically arriving in Sri Lanka. That also permissible. Right? Transfer from a ship, aircraft to another within a port in Sri Lanka without the cargo being taken into a bonded warehouse. Without unloading, without cargo being taken into a bonded warehouse, they will unload it and reload it to another vessel and go to the final destination. Right? ඔය හතර විදියටම වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මේකේ තව important එකක් තමයි importation of the following items under the entrepot trade is strictly prohibited. There are prohibited items as per the central bank circular. What is prohibited on entrepot trade? Narcotics. Number 2, arms and ammunition. Arms and ammunition. Narcotics එහෙම තිබ්බනම් මොකද වෙන්නේ? අපිට මොදවිශ්ලා එහෙනම් පාකිස්තාන් වලින් කෙලින්ම entrepot trade කරයි හම්බන්තොට port එකට කුඩු ටිකේ අපි මෙහෙ පැකට් කළා වෙන countries වලට ඇරලා දැම්මා. ෂෝක් නේද? ලංකාවට foreign exchange. එහෙම බෑ. Narcotics is banned. Arms and ammunition is banned. Now, ඔගොල්ලෝ අදගත්ත ABC කියන chart එක අන්ත හැම කෙනෙක්ම දැන් ඒකේ A to B එකේ මම ගෙවන්නේ arrow එක A to B පල්ලෙහාට එනවා. ඒකේ the payment methods හතරෙන් ඒ payment methods හතර පහක් තියෙනවා. පහක් කියන්නේ LC, DP, DA, advance payment and open account. Right? ඔය පහෙන් කොහොමද අපි මේක කරන්න ඕනේ? මෙන්න මේක හරි important. ඒක අපි කොහොමද කරන්න ඕනේ? දැන් A to B when we are receiving goods from China, right? What should be මේක තියෙන circular එකේ very important area. How we have to do the payment? What the payment method? A to B. A to B. To make it a profitable thing. To make it a profitable thing. ඒ කියන්නේ B වැඩි සල්ලි වීදන් නොකර අතේ තියෙන පොඩ්ඩක් shape කරගෙන යන්න. So, the exact operation will depend on the method of payment used for the settlement of two contracts. Very important. Right? One of the vendor pulang payment methods. Can we pay advance payment? Can we do the payment by advance payment? මේක සර්කියුලර් එකේ තියෙනවා. නමුත් එහෙම නැතුව මම මේ කියන්නේ common sense වලින් හිතලා යන්නේ. Can we do advance payment? පුළුවන්ද බැරිද?
Can do, but it's not profitable.
Yeah?
Can do, but it's not profitable.
Can do, but it's not profitable. Not can do, it is prohibited. Advance payment is prohibited as per the circular. You can't pay. For the advance payment given on for the whole import, B has to pay immediately. Ne? Beforehand, B has to pay. I think it's a B ate salli me puddatya me business එක කරන්න බෑ. අර මේ bonded warehouse එකේ කට්ටිය ඒ bonded warehouse එකත් free හම්බ වෙනවා. එතන ඉන්න කට්ටියට පඩි දෙන්න like වලට අරකට මේකට විතරයි අපිට ඕනේ ඒ සල්ලි ටික අතේ තියෙනවා නම් ලිසන්ස් එකකට තමයි වෙන හදයක්වත් නැතුව එහෙමනම් අපිට advance payment is prohibited central bank එකෙන්ම දාලා තියෙනවා අපි කොහොමද කරන්න ඕනේ DA very good අර ඊතලේ තියෙන පල්ලෙහා A to B අන්න ඒකේ පැත්තකින් ලියා ගන්න DA තව මොකද comparare leggera who's talking leggera okay තම මොකද
Open account, sir.
very good open account පුළුවන් open account දාන්න පුළුවන් ඔය අපිට ගෙන්න ගන්න පුළුවන් නේද අතන 21 days වලින් අපිට settle කරගන්න පුළුවන් නේ DA දානවා නම් DA අඩුව ගන්න යන්න ඕන 30 days වලට වැඩි ඉන්නේ 30 days 60 days වලට දැම්ම නම් idea
Yeah.
6 days DA ගෙනනම් හරි දැන් open account උත් දාගන්න වෙනවා ඒක නේද තව මොකද්ද අපිට යන්න පුළුවන්
LC usance.
very good LC usance එතන ඔය තුන තමයි අපිට ඔය පැත්තෙන් කරගන්න වෙන්නේ when we are selling what should be the payment methods central bank එකේ recommended ඒවා DP very good ඉක්මනටම සල්ලි ගන්න ඕන අපිට
LC side.
advance payment
LC side.
මාත් ලියන ඔයගොල්ලෝ ලියයි කියලා මම හිතනවා අනිත් එක site LC නේද site LC එතන අපිට ඔය විදිහට මේක කරගන්න පුළුවන් එහෙම කළොත් අපි ටක් ගාලා සල්ලි ටික ආපු ගමන් B එකකින් we can settle whatever the money to A සල්ලි ටික ආවට පස්සේ right එතන අපිට මේ හරි ලේසි මේකෙදි මේගොල්ලෝ කියනවා ඒකේ තියෙන important areas ඔය මෙන්න මේක ලියා ගන්න the FOB value of the re-export should be more than the CIF value of import more than the CIF value of imports right again re-export is not permitted under DA terms right another point is the entrepot trader should declare the actual country of origin in the customs documents ඒගොල්ලන්ට මේක දාලා අරින්න පුළුවන් ඕන එකක් country of origin එක ශ්‍රී ලංකා කියලා හරි දාලා ඉන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි custom declaration එකේ අපේ customs වලට දෙන declaration එකේ අපි ඒක දාන්න ඕන actual origin එක. China හරි ඔය හරි එක දාන්න. එහෙනම් අවිල්ල තමයි මේ අනිත් පැත්තෙන් යන්නේ. ඉතින් මේක බලන්න කොච්චර හොඳද කියලා දැන් මේවා හරියට කරනවා නම් අපේ තියෙනවා under the commercial hub regulation Sri Lanka has declared 2 seaports in Colombo and Hambantota free zones. Hambantota Colombo අපි දෙකක් අපි declare කරලා තියෙනවා under commercial hub regulations, right? Seaports එක. ඊගාවට airports and 2 export processing zones have been declared as bonded areas for entrepot trade and offshore business activities. Export zone in Katunayaka by the main international airport and export zone in Kogala by the second international airport in Mattala are the designated bonded areas. Right? So අපේ එකක් තියෙනවා මත්තල එකක් කොග්ගල එකක් තියෙනවා for මත්තල airport ඒවට අනිත් එක bonded warehouses තියෙනවා කටුනායක. That's mainly for air shipments, right? If it is sea shipments, Hambantota and Colombo. Actually, really speaking, more than Colombo, Hambantota we have ample space, and I don't know why still the Sri Lankan government is not actively getting involved of popularizing this entrepot trade, because this is one of the areas where we can give more benefit to the rural areas like Hambantota. So for example, if we develop Hambantota port as a real entrepot trade hub with bonded warehouses, then people from all over the country has to go there to work, right? They not only the Hambantota people from Ratnapura, people from Kurunegala, people from Anuradhapura, Colombo, ඔක්කොටම ඔයට යන්න වෙනවා jobs වලට. අපිට යන්න වෙනවා. ගියාම direct වගේම indirect කොච්චර එනවද benefits. People have to find places to stay, right? ඒතකොට boarding houses හම්බ වෙනවා. Eating joints එනවා. Laundries වලට job එකක් එනවා, right? බුලත් පිට කඩේකටත් එනවා job එකක් පෙට්ටි කඩේකට. ඒකට jobs එනවා. කොච්චර create වෙනවද? Indirect jobs, right? අර එක්කෙනෙක්ගෙන් කොච්චර අපිට create වෙනවද? ඉතින් ඔය ඔක්කොම අපිට මේවා හරියට හදාගන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් අපි එකම දේ තියෙන්නේ අපි ගොඩාක් එකතු වෙලා මේ වැඩේ කරන්න ඕන. අපි පුළුවන් තරම් මේක ප්‍රොමෝට් කරන්නම බලන්න ඕන. ප්‍රොමෝට් කරන්නම මේක බලන්න ඕන. Right? එතකොට the benefits of entrepot trade to traders, a relatively easy method of earning foreign exchange. Relatively easy method of earning foreign exchange. And second one is the period of time spent to complete the transaction is relatively short. Only 21 days maximum. You have to pay the bonded warehouse if it is more than 21 days. ඉතින් අපි හැම කෙනෙක්ම try කරන්නේ within 21 days ඒ stock එක re-export කරලා ඉවරයි කරන්න. Right? Then benefit of entrepot trade to the country, increased foreign exchange earnings, then generates additional earnings for seaports, generates additional earnings for seaports, airports, and to the other service providers in Sri Lanka, both in the public and private sectors. Right? Then enhance the image of the country as a trading center. opportunity make up it. The opportunity like Hong Kong, Singapore, we can make a lot of foreign exchange earnings, as well as our image as a trading center will be enhanced. Facilities provided by the Sri Lankan government to develop entrepreneur trade. Regulations issued by the Control of Exchange encouraging entrepreneur trade either via Sri Lanka or direct to a third country. I have discussed that. Circulated. Tax exemptions granted for selected products like petroleum, gas, and petroleum products. Concessionary warehouse charges and free facility up to 21 days granted by Sri Lanka Ports Authority. The EDB create awareness by conducting seminars and issuing brochures and provide advisory services. Right? Building infrastructure such as air cargo terminal at Patanayaka, SLPA warehouse at DR Vijayawardena Mawatha, and Hambantota port. Right? So we have to build more and more infrastructure and support these people. Then only we can get this very important aspect of entrepreneur trade a more feasible thing. Right? Okay. I think we have covered both. Any questions on entrepreneur trade? Any questions on entrepreneur trade? Can you see the new thing? Sri Lanka Export Trade Insurance Corporation, basic slide එක පේනවද?
නෑ සර්.
පේන්නේ නැද්ද?
නෑ. තාම තියෙන්නේ මේ entrepreneur trade slide එක.
Oh, what happened? Right, okay. Okay. Now it's 5:03. මම මේ බැලුවේ එක දිගටම ඉවර කරලා කරගන්න මොකද මම දන්නේ නැහැ කොච්චරලා මට කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙයිද බැරිද කියලා. මොකද situation is getting worse here. Looks like at any moment the thunder showers will come. Right? එහෙම වුණොත් අපිට කරගන්න බැරි වෙනවා. ඊයේ පෙරේදත් මට අන්තිම මොහොතේ ඩෝන් ගාලා ගියා. ලොකු මේකක් ඇදිලා. Right? අපි ඒකෙන්ද මේ කරමු. හැබැයි you can take 10 minutes break because until I get the thing sorted out with the help of Menaka. Right? You can take 10 minutes break. Then after that, I'm going to discuss another very important area, SLESIC, EDB, and the other supporting functions in international trade for Sri Lanka. Right? Right. Then 2:55, 3:10, 3:05 we'll start. Right? Okay. You can get a small break. Right. Students, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah. I don't know whether I can continue this one or not because it's thundering.
We can hear the thunder.
Yeah. That's a problem. It's heavy rain and thunder and lightning. That's a problem. So I'll go as much as possible, and then if not, We'll take about 15 minutes break and we'll come back again. Right?
Okay.
Or if all are at home, shall I propose like this? Shall we take a half an hour break and then rejoin? ඔයාලා ගෙදර ඉඳන් කමක් නැහැ නේ තව පොඩ්ඩක් පිටින් හිටියට.
No problem. So anyway, I think 13 people are only there, so we'll have no issue.
We have no issue නේ. එහෙනම් අපි පොඩ්ඩක් බලන්න දැන් 3 o'clock we'll exit වෙලා මම ආපහු එන්නම් 3:30 විතර. මොකද මේක කියන්න බෑ. Because this is thundering and lightning, right?
Yeah. Okay, sir.
And
we'll put a note on the screen so that
can you put a note on the screen?
Yeah, I'll put a message on the chat, sir, so that we'll start at 3:30 till I'll inform you.
Right.
Okay, sir.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
Right. Okay. Nothing to worry. We can finish it the exact time, right? And luckily I stopped the presentation because in my place made this area was thunder shower. Right. The next one we are going to discuss is about the SLESIC. Now, these three institutions, we are talking about various institutions who are supporting international trade operations in Sri Lanka, right? Who are supporting international trade operations in Sri Lanka. Now, out of that, one is SLESIC. I think some of you may have heard about these things, some may not. Anyway, we'll see how SLESIC, Sri Lanka Export Trade Insurance Corporation, is going to support the exporters in Sri Lanka to do their international trade operation. Now, this particular thing, export credit institutions are a common thing in worldwide, every country. Every country has their own export trade insurance corporations or institutions. In Sri Lanka, we didn't have one, but 1977 was a key year where a lot of changes happens to Sri Lanka economy. Because in 1977, under Jayawardena's regime, we got free trade zone, free economy and open economy. It was open economy. Now, under open economy, a lot of things were introduced. Mr. Jayawardena wanted to introduce certain institutions to support the exporters in Sri Lanka. And when they see most of the developed countries are having these type of things, then he has introduced this export trade insurance institution in Sri Lanka, government funded export trade insurance corporation in Sri Lanka also to support the exporters. This was established in 1978 incorporated by Act of Parliament, Act number 15 of 1978. And the major activities were to issue pre-shipment credit guarantees and issue of post-shipment credit guarantees, issue of export production credit guarantees, issue of export performance guarantees covering ATA Khane system. Then issue of export payment insurance policies, seller's risk. Now, from the major activities you can see, we are trying to cover most of the areas of exporters where the government can support them, right? Pre-shipment trade guarantees, post-shipment trade guarantees, export production credit guarantees, issue of export performance guarantees, ATA Khane system, and export payment insurance policies covering the seller's risk. Seller's risk export credit insurance solutions provided by the SLESIC are, in simple, we call it SLESIC, right? It ensures the seller's credit term portfolio against non-payment by buyers for a nominal premium, considering the overall liquidity position of the seller. Now, just imagine for a seller or the exporter, the main issue or the main problem they are having is their payments are not being guaranteed. It is payment are guaranteed under LCs, but not under open account or documentary collection. So, in other words, insurance companies are also not willing to guarantee these payments because they are covering, insurance companies cover what? But normal insurance companies, marine insurance, they are covering what? They are insuring what? I am asking you. Are they insuring the payments? Are they insuring the payments?
Goods.
No, they are insuring only the,
Goods.
they are covering the goods, not the payment, right? So, goods they cover, but the payment nobody covers. So, for exporters, this was a very good opportunity. Ensures non-payment of specific shipments of specific buyers' countries. Non-payment of specific shipments, specific buyers' countries. මේගොල්ලෝ insure කරන්නේ හැම එකක්ම නෙමෙයි. Export එකේ හැම export එකක්ම නෙමෙයි insure කරන්නේ. We have to specify what are the shipments of the buyers or countries you want to cover. Ensures Sri Lankan exporters against non-payment of the shipment that are affected from a second country to a third country via Sri Lanka. Even entrepot trade also covered by SLESIC, right? Ensures non-payment for export of services such as software, construction and telecom, etc. So in all and all, entire export area is being covered by SLESIC. The risk covered are insolvency of the buyer. It's very important. If the buyer goes insolvent or bankrupt, then exporter will not get the money. Goods will be covered. Goods will be insured separately, but he won't get the money. So the insolvency of the buyer is a big risk, which is covered by SLESIC. Protracted default by the buyer. Some buyers, they default it, right? That also been covered. Non-acceptance by the buyer. If it is a DA bill, the non-acceptances also they cover. Occurrence of hostilities, wars, insurrections, civil or political disturbances, terrorist actions, natural disaster in the buyer's country. Under any of these things, the payments might get delayed or protracted or maybe not receiving at all. So these SLESIC will cover. General moratorium declared by the government of the buyer's country. General moratorium declared by the government of the buyer's country. Some countries, sometimes due to the political regime changes and all, they declare general moratorium. They said all the payments will be postponed for another 3 months, 6 months, like that, right? So those things also covered by SLESIC. Changes in the laws of the buyer's country and now import bans. Political events of economic difficulties arising in the buyer's country, which prevents delays in transfer of payments to Sri Lanka. So that also been covered. ඔගන්ට මේ presentation එක පේනව නේද? Okay, thanks. Risk not covered by the insurance are risk not covered by the SLESIC insurance are disputes between the exporter and the importer. For example, quality, quantity, packing, etc. unless the exporter obtain a court decree in his favor. Any disputes between the exporter and importer is not covered. Sometimes there may be disputes regarding the quality, quantity of packing or etc. whatever. So that is not covered under this SLESIC, right? Human nature. Causes inherent in the nature of goods. Causes inherent in the nature of the goods. Very important. Those things are also not covered. Right? The may wage deyak insurance එකෙන් cover වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මෙතන වෙන්නේ. Causes inherent in the nature of the goods. The nature of the goods කියලා මම එකපාරකට කියවන්න example එක. If you export some chemicals like hydrogen peroxide වගේවා, it's inherent in the nature of that particular chemical that if it gets exposed to direct sunlight, it will be break into H2O and oxygen. එච්චරයි. ඊට පස්සේ H2O කියන්නේ වතුරනේ, ජලය. මේව නැහැ. හයිඩ්‍රජන් පෙරොක්සයිඩ් එක නැහැ. H2O2 එක නැහැ. ඉතින් ඒ වගේම අපි හයිඩ්‍රජන් පෙරොක්සයිඩ් ඔක්කොම අරගෙන අපි නැවේ on deck දාගෙන ගිහිල්ලා මේම දෙයක් වුණොත් ඒකට ක්ලේම් කරන්න බෑ. right? Default of any agents of the exporter. Default of any agents of the exporter. That will not be covered. Fluctuation in the exchange rates. Exchange rate fluctuations are also not covered. The benefits to the policyholders are a claim on SLESIC if payments are not made within a reasonable period. A claim on SLESIC if payments are not made within a reasonable period. Good collateral security as the policy gives easy access to the post-shipment finance from banks. And make a very important thing. If you have a SLESIC guarantee, that means it's a good collateral as a security because this policy gives you easy access to post-shipment finance from the bank. If you want to get finances from the bank, SLESIC will not finance, right? Mind you, SLESIC is not financing in the companies, but they issue the policy. So we keep that policy as a collateral. And we will ask the bank, please give me post-shipment finance or pre-shipment finance. This is a security. So rather than giving the customer pre-shipment finance or post-shipment finance, just depending on the LC, just depending on the LC, this will be an additional collateral, right? Ability to expand exports to existing markets on more competitive credit terms. Making the මේ වගේ risk එකක් අපි cover වෙනවා නම්, then we can expand our exports to existing markets on more competitive credit terms, because we are also covered, so we can market on more competitive credit terms. Opportunity to diversify into new markets, right? Assessment of credit worthiness of the buyer. Assessment of credit worthiness of the buyers. එකත් මේකෙදි මේගොල්ලෝ බලනවා. Basic එක. Before they issue the policy. Advice on buyers' credit and payment terms. Assistance in collection of overdue payments. Protects overall liquidity. Protects overall liquidity. So these are the benefits to the policy holder, right? The main differences between the pre-shipment and post-shipment guarantee schemes. There are two guarantee schemes, pre-shipment and post-shipment. We will start critically talking about basic guarantees, right? Critically talking about basic guarantees. Presentation the pre-shipment credit guarantees we give under basic, we give pre-shipment credit guarantees and post-shipment credit guarantees. Pre-shipment credit guarantees ගත්තහම අපිට මොනවද ගන්න පුළුවන්? Exporters from the banks, what they can ask from the banks. With this, keeping this pre-shipment credit guarantee as a collateral, what they can request from the banks. අපි ඒකට නමක් කියනවා.
Packing credit. So,
Very good. Packing credit loans. We can ask for packing credit loans. Normally, the bank, if a bank is giving packing credit loans, they are keeping the LC. They are keeping the LC as a comfort. You can't say it's a collateral. Huh? LC is a piece of paper. මේක අරෙන් issue කරන එක අපේ මේ machine එකේ printer A4 එකේ printer මේක අන්න තියෙන්නේ. A4 එකේ print වෙච්ච කොටයක් විතරයි. There's no guarantee, no security. It's a comfort. Now, maker, if they are having pre-shipment credit guarantees, that is a collateral. SESIC has given an undertaking, right? The amount guaranteed is 66 2/3 of the guaranteed loss. Guaranteed loss again 66 2/3 තමයි දෙන්නේ. Full නෙමෙයි, not 100%. When it comes to post-shipment credit guarantees, the amount guaranteed is 75% of the guaranteed loss. 75% of the guaranteed loss. Another question, common sense one. Why we give more percentage for post-shipment than pre-shipment? මොකද කියන්න බං මේ common sense question එක මම ඇහුවේ ඇයි post shipment එකේ වැඩියෙන් දෙන්නේ percentage එක because pre-shipment is more riskier because they have not started the manufacturing. They are asking a loan, pre-shipment credit guarantee illala against loan එකක් ඉල්ලන්න යන්නේ. ඒකට ඊට පස්සේ තමයි they are going to start manufacturing. Post shipment means they have already manufactured and shipped the goods. Post shipment, ship the goods. So it's good for risk is lesser than pre-shipment. ඒකයි අපි වැඩියෙන් දෙන්නේ. Eligible for the advance guaranteed by the bank for export pre-shipment against DC or confirmed export order. Other one, post-shipment, eligible for purchase, negotiation or discount of export bills sent on collection basis or advances against such bills. Right? Pre-shipment credit guarantees, the exporter need not have an export payment insurance policy from SESI. Right? Post-shipment, the exporter must have an export payment insurance policy from SESI. Right? Then the premium is another thing. Since pre-shipment is more riskier than the post-shipment, the charges are premium payable is 15 cents per 100 rupees. LKR guarantees 15 cents per 100 rupees. Or 20 cents per US dollars, 100 for US dollar guarantees. Then post-shipment, premium payable is 7 cents per 100 rupees or 7 cents per US dollars, 100 for US dollar guarantee. So you can see, again half of the post shipment again. Because risk premium then the main similarities between the two schemes. Application for guarantees should be submitted to SESI by the bank proposing to grant the advance. Right? Application for guarantees should be submitted to SESI by the bank proposing to grant the advance. Through bank end on it. Application, guarantee application end on it, SESI through banks. They can't go directly. Right? In submitting proposals for bank guarantees, all material facts shall be disclosed to SESI. Those are not common things. These bank guarantees are contracts of insurance, and therefore banks should observe utmost good faith at all times. The bank should observe utmost good faith at all times. What do you mean by that? For example, if your customer, you're a banker, if your customer is a rogue, right? And he is a culprit, you are advising him, why not you go for this SESI and get some guarantees, right? You can put a claim and claim that money, right? එතකොට ඒවට ඕන කුණු ගොඩක් එක ඩීල් කරන්න පුළුවන් අපි සපෝට් කරන්න. එහෙම කරන කට්ටිය බැංක්ස් වල ඉන්නවා. I'm sorry to tell you. Right? There are some people of that nature. They will also bend their heads right? For money. Utmost good faith. ඒක ප්‍රූව් වුණොත් එහෙම බැංක්සුත් මේකට කවුල් කියලා කොලේ වහලා පෙන්නන එකට බැංක්සුත් liable. Monthly declaration with the premium payable are based on highest balance outstanding during the month and should be submitted to SLESIC before 15th of the following month. Monthly declaration 7 The premium payable වෙන්නේ based on the highest balance outstanding during the month, right? Advances should be made only after obtaining the guarantees from SLESIC. Pre-shipment advances then වෙන්නේ හරි post shipment දෙන්න ඕනේ only after we obtain the guarantees from SLESIC. Approval from SLESIC should be obtained for individual limits in respect of each exporter. Each exporter ගේ එහා පැත්තේ ඉන්න counterparties වලට individual limits තියනවා. ඒතොර ඒකට තමයි අපිට guarantee එක ගන්න වෙන්නේ. Not for every Tom, Dick and Harry. Banks should take reasonable care when granting further advances in an overdue situation. Very important. Now, if a SLESIC guarantee, if my customer has is not paying the dues properly, and when it goes overdue, in a scenario like that, we should not give any further advances. The common deval. Any overdue payments should be promptly notified to SLESIC. If the customers are not paying their money properly, overdue payments, you have the right to advise to the SLESIC. After all, they are guaranteeing our advances, right? So we have a duty towards them to declare everything. Renewal proposals should be submitted by bank if they wish to continue with the facility. Renewal proposals should be submitted by bank if they wish to continue with the facility. Extensions to advances covered by the guarantee should have their prior approval of SLESIC. Right? Overdue advances should be reported to SLESIC within 30 days. Any overdue advances should be reported to SLESIC within 30 days. May overdue advances can pay pre-shipment advances, packing credit loans. If the packing credit loans are not being settled by packing credit loans, which are supported by SLESIC guarantees, if my customer is not settling my loan, packing credit loan, right, within 30 days, overdues, we have to inform SLESIC also. We have to follow it up with the customer as well as we have to inform to the SLESIC. Right? Well, SLESIC would amaru attend yanne. Ethora egulot customer e patten hira karනවා. New advances should not be granted by the bank in respect of buyers who have already defaulted the exporter. Right? Okay. Claims should be lodged with SLESIC not later than 2 years of the date of default. There's a limitations. Banks should take all necessary steps to prevent or minimize the loss involved. Any nursing program for defaulted advance should have the prior approval of SLESIC. Right? If you have any recovery plans and all those things, we have to have the prior approval of SLESIC. Any amounts recovered should be shared between the bank and the SLESIC in the same proportion. Right? So those are some guidelines. Right. Before we go to the next one, under SLESIC, now I'm talking about my experience with SLESIC. Overall, SLESIC guarantees support karna kattiin dona banks wala. Now you can contribute to this discussion. My experience with Sri Lanka Export Credit Insurance Corporation is when they started the business in 78, 79, 80, 85 වෙනකන් හරියට ගියා. Then ටික they are also very strict. Right? It is very difficult to get a claim from them. Once we lodge the claim, it is not easy to get it. Like any other insurance company, they come up with various issues and questions, mainly focusing not to pay the money. Their main objective is not to pay the money. එහෙම insurance කරලා වැඩක් නැහැ. අපි customers සල්ලි ගෙවලා banks ඒකට depend වෙලා අපි customer ට loans දීලා අන්තිමේදී අපේ අනිකර burden එක අරන් තියෙන්නේ අපේ loan එක customer pay කරන්නේ නැත්තේ. Right? එතන අපි යාට දුන්නේ මේක collateral එකකට තියාගෙන එහෙම බෑ කරන්න. ඒක සෑහෙන ටිකක් අමාරු වුණා පෞගේ කාලේ වලට. Right? මේගොල්ලෝ කරන තව එකක් තමයි ATA Kane guarantees. ATA Kane guarantees. ATA Kane guarantees are issued by SRESIC. ATA Kane guarantees are issued by Chamber of Commerce also. When we are talking about the Chamber of Commerce, we will discuss, or I will discuss it now, so that when it comes under other institutions, I am not going to discuss about how it is happening. Have you ever heard of ATA Kane guarantees? මේක bank guarantee එකකට එන්නේ නැහැ. Kane guarantees. CRNET, T silent. Kane. අහලා නැද්ද? When the exporters takes some precious stones or diamonds, then gems, jewelry, then gold jewelry, අරගෙන යනවා නම් when they are exporting for a temporary period, right? For a, if we say for a exhibition or a trade fair, we have to take those things out, right? When you are taking those things out, you have to pay export taxes, dues. Those are specific type of goods. You have to pay export levy. Then, if you can't get it sold there, but you can't, then you have to bring it back to the Sri Lanka. When you are bringing back these diamonds, gold, jewelry, and all those things, right? Gems and all those pearls, very expensive items. When you are bringing back to Sri Lanka, then there are specific import duties the custom will impose. Very specific import duty, very high import duty. Maybe 70%, 80%, 100% import duty. So ultimately, the exporter is taking these things out of the country for exhibition or a trade fair. And if he cannot sell the goods, cannot make a sale, then he has to bring it back, obviously. And unnecessarily, he has to pay taxes also, about the same amount. So because of that, we advise them to get an 80A Khane guarantee. So CSEC is one of the institutions who issues 80A Khane guarantees. Right? When they issue the 80A Khane, you have to list down all the items and give it to the issuing authority. You have to list down all the items. And James Sehimanan, Monoada, Jatia, how many carats, the photograph, everything you have to give as a documentary evidence. Right? Pearls, pearls sizes, varieties, jewelry, monada, full details then. It details and number of items also. Then they will issue the guarantee, 80A Khane guarantee, with that specifications as an annexure. So when you take the goods out of the country to the customs, now you have to declare and you have to show the guarantee and the entire guarantee along with the annexure and make a plan process customs whenever division they will check each and every item and they'll say whether it is in order with the 80A Khane guarantee. Then only they will release your export without charging any export duties. And once you make a sale or once you sold the items, then you have to remit the money. You have to remit the money to Sri Lanka immediately from that destination. And you have to bring the sales invoice along with the remittance advice of remitting money to Sri Lanka. Once you're coming back, you will be sent to another special division, 80A Khane division. අරවාගේ ඉතුරු බොක්ස් එකේ තියෙන ඕම ඉතුරු ටිකයි අර විකුණපු ටිකයි සල්ලි ඔප ටිකයි they will reconcile. And if there's any differences, you have to pay. Otherwise, you don't have to pay a cent. You got it? You got some idea about 80A Khane guarantees?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Are popular among exporters, especially who are going for trade fairs and exhibitions, and otherwise they have to sell their businesses also if they're going to pay taxes, right? Then the other institution is Sri Lanka Export Development Board, EDB. EDB කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ? දන්න කෙනෙක් කියන්නම. EDB head office කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ? බැංක කෙනෙක් වුණාම දැනගන්න ඕන. Anybody from NDB Bank? NDB Bank? Navamma. Next to NDB Bank, ne? The NDB Bank Navamma branch ki udu tattu. Navamma NDB branch එක තියෙන්නේ EDB building එකේ. ඒක උඩ දාට්ටේ. Right? Okay. Sri Lanka Export Development Board, usually known as EDB, is an apex organization for promotion and development of exports. This was also established in 1979 under the Sri Lanka Export Development Act number 40. For a period of time, I have been I was visiting this organization on and off, right? Sometimes to get some information, to get leaflets and their brochures and all those things to teach you guys, right? And I was fed up with their services. But during last 2-3 years, I have seen when I was at Asset Line, I visited them once or twice. Very positive change, very positive change. So we hope now they are trying to support the exporters in a real way, better than earlier, right? Services provided by EDB to Sri Lankan exporters are advisory services to exporters requiring guidance and information. Whenever you want some, if you are an exporter, and if you are if you want to export your product to European countries, you can visit EDB and ask them to give you some eligible prospect buyers, right? So they have a list. So they will give you, according to the product, they will give you, these are the people who are willing to buy these products from Sri Lanka. So then you can start some correspondence with those guys and first write into them, then have telephone calls and or visit them, and they might visit us, and then we can build up a rapport, right? So this is something which is very, very important, right? Market promotions and development programs. Exporters forums for exporters to air their grievances and obtain solutions, right? මේකත් ඉස්සරහන් වැඩි ගියේ නෑ, දැන් ඇටියක් යනවා වගේ. මම දන්නේ කොච්චර දුරට practical ද කියන එක. Exporters forums for exporters to air their grievances and obtain solutions. Because the thing is, by nature, our people, Sri Lankan people, they are not airing their views. They are not talking. They are not open about their issues, their grievances. Only a selected lot who can talk English, who can shout, who can argue, who can get up in an audience and ask some questions, or to talk about their grievances, are the only people who will talk. Right? ඕක තමයි අපිට තියෙන වැඩේ. එකක් අපේ මේ සමහර forums ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින් කළොත් එහෙම අපේ සාමාන්‍ය exporters කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඒගොල්ලෝ කතා කරගෙන ඉන්නවා. ඉතින් ඕවා අපි දෙපැත්තක් බලන්න වෙනවා. Right? Conducting training programs, seminars for specific products, markets. මේක කරනවලු, right? Conducting training programs, seminars for specific products, markets. මේක මම දන්නවා ටිකක් කළා for tomatoes, exporting of tomatoes, not cucumber. අපි ඒකට කියන්නේ මොකද්ද මේ? ඒක අර green එකට කියන්නේ. Gherkins. Gherkin තමයි අපි ගොඩක් export කරන්නේ. Gherkin exports වලට එහෙම ඒකේ packing, how to pack and all those things, and you have to train the people, right? Tomatoes, packing is very important. Even recently I have seen, yesterday I saw TV program on cultivating of fruits in Anuradhapura area. Passion fruit, වගේ fruits හරියට කොහොමද ඒගොල්ලෝ cultivate කරලා හරිම ලස්සනයි. අර මේකකින් අර ඒගොල්ලෝ කිව්වා EDB is supporting them කියලා. මේ අර මේ ripe fruit එක උනත් කඩලා ගන්නකොට නිකන් අතින් අර කඩලා ගන්නේ නැහැ. They cut it with a scissor. එහෙම අරගෙන ගන්නට ඒ boxes වල තියන්නේ. මේ වගේ trainings ඒගොල්ලෝ කිව්වා ඒගොල්ලන්ට දීලා තියෙනවා කියලා. ඇවිල්ලා on the job training එකක්. අන්න එහෙම ඒ වගේ තියෙන්න ඕන. Because that's how you have to export the products. And otherwise you can't catch the export market. Conducting training programs on import-export procedures, how to do it and all. Right? There are brochures also. Video documentaries on exportable products matters. Publications of periodicals like Expo News, Business Links, right? And online access to international database. They have an international database. They have online access. Inward buyer missions from overseas market. Online data, online access to international database. Make it be mama about 2 years back, or 1.5 years back, I went to EDB to get some information. You have heard about GSP and GSP plus? GSP plus, right? Europe and America, they are giving us GSP plus. And last week there was a news article that European community has agreed to extend the GSP plus to Sri Lanka for another 1 year, right? Under GSP plus, මොනවාද අපි export කරන product එක?
Garments?
Garments. Any other products? Only garments?
Is tea also there?
Huh?
Tea.
I'm sorry. My ඒක නිකන් voice එක පොඩ්ඩක් මට හරියට ආවේ නැහැ. Any other? Tea. No, tea වලට අපිට tea වලට GSP දෙනවා. මම කියන්නේ tea මේකයි. GSP plus කියන්නේ දන්නවනේ GSP plus තියෙනවා නම් ඒ country එකේ අපිට අඩුවෙන් තමයි charge කරන්නේ. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ import tax එක 4% විතර වගේ හම්බෙන්නේ. නැත්නම් 20%, 30% tax එක. Tax එක 20%, 30% ගෙවුවාම our product in their countries will be priced at a higher price. Products we can end. But if the import duty is low, then they will price our product with a lower price so that our products will be you can sell our products easily. ඒකයි GSP plus එකකින් මේක. Last time when I visited them, only I learned that there are more than 450 items under GSP plus. More than 450 items under GSP plus. මාත් හිතන් හිටියේ garments tea වගේ විතරයි කියලා. නෑ මාර ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. Ornamental fish, අරවා මේවා හරියට තියෙනවා. ඇයි අපි ඒවා use කරන්නේ නැත්තේ? Right? So I'm just telling you because once you do this training program, right? There are some people who are working in import-export companies, but majority of my students are bankers. If you are in the trade business, if you are in the export department and all. Why not you, if you are not getting this information from your bank, right? Why not you pay a visit to EDB and collect this information on your own and try to enhance your knowledge. And then coming back, you can speak to your exporters and try to guide them to improve their business. They will love you. Then, I left Standard Chartered in 1997. I was the head of trade at Standard Chartered and I left in 1997. Right? Then after that I joined HSBC and I was in overseas. After 10 years I came back. And then අවුරුදු 2010 2011 වල විතර වගේ I went to මේකට කියන්නේ පංචිකාවත්තට පොඩ්ඩක් හෑන් මේකට ගියා. I wanted to get some padlocks. Yale padlocks ගන්න මම ගියා. I met some of the customers, my previous customers about 13-14 years back. But when they saw me, they came running to me and start talking with me and sir, what can we do? So we missed you quite a lot when you were there. You gave us so much of additional advices, and you encourage us to do our business in a better way. And I think even if you go to PETA, still I can meet my customers. After 1994, after 1997, දැන්ට මාස 3කට කලින් එක කස්ටමර් කෙනෙක් මට කෝල් කළා. මගේ නම්බර් එක හොයාගෙන to get some advice. ඒ කියන්නේ after 23 years. ඇයි එහෙම කරන්නේ? දැන් ඉන්න කට්ටිය නරකද? නෑ, නරක නෑ, හොඳයි. නමුත් ජොබ් එක හරියට කරනවා. වැඩිපුර කස්ටමර් කෙනෙක්ට උදව් කරන්නේ. දැන් හිතනට වෙඩිය. මේක additional work නේ. අන්නේ additional work, extra mile you have to do. I'm trying to train you on that particular angle, right? එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ බැංක් එකේ වුණත් you will be highlighted because the customers will give their feedback to your bosses, will be highlighted, and gradually you will go up in the ladder. Gradually ඒක හිතාගෙන කරන්න එපා. නිකම් යනවා. ඒක නවත්තන්න බෑ. Because customers give their feedback, right? And they will come to you. ඒ වගේ කීප දෙනෙක් මම දන්නවා දැන් මගේ ගෝලියෝ බැංක්ස් වල managers ලා නෙමෙයි අහන්නේ. ඒගොල්ලන්ගෙන් customers ලා call කරලා අහන්නේ. කොහොමද කරගන්නේ මේක මෙහෙමද කියලා. අන්න ඒ තැනට ඔයගොල්ලෝ එන්න ඕන. Then inward buyer missions from overseas market, conducting group sales missions, trade fairs, buyer sales meets and contact programs in overseas. Overseas වල හරියට අපේ තියෙනවා trade fairs වල ගියාම අපේ හරියටම we are very poor. I have personal experiences of international trade fairs in Dubai during the shopping festival period, right? For 10 years, I know how poor our people were. How poor. All the other countries, all over the world, they are very much better than us. අපේ trade stall එකේ මොනවද තියෙන්නේ? තනිකර මේ CW එක අරන් ගිහලා එහෙන් තිබ්බා. කරෝල ගඳේ බෑ. පරිප්පු පැකට්, ආල්මස්ට් පැකට්, අට්ට කරෝල පැකට්. ඕව මොනවද ට්‍රේඩ් ෆෙයාර් එක දාලා විකුණ ගන්න. Right? So when you, because we have not identified the place. I am blaming the government institutions. Right? මේවා තමයි අපි වරද්ද ගන්න තැන්. අපරාධ අපේ මිනිස්සුන්ව අපි කියනවා ට්‍රේඩ් ෆෙයාර් එකට. Those days when we were coming to Sri Lanka on vacation, I used to bring dry fish. කරවල මං ගේන්නේ එහෙන් ගේන්නේ. ලංකාවට එනකොට. very cheap. ලොකු කෝරියාම 10 dirhams. අපි කොහොමද අරන් යන්නේ? අපි මෙහෙන් ගිහලා අපි කරවල පැකට් දානවා එහෙ. පරිප්පු පැකට්. ඕම CW එක දාලා වගේ. ඉතින් එහෙම දාලා නෙමෙයි. අනිත් රටවල තියෙන්නේ මාර දේවල් තියෙන්නේ. right? Facilitation for small producers, exporters, link-ups, market promotions and development programs. Assistance to resolve problems to exporters related to infrastructure and products. මේ ටික ඔයගොල්ලෝ කියවලා ගන්න. මම ගොඩක් කියවන්නේ නැහැ. මම ඒකට මේ වෙන විතරයි හැම එකම විදිය වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා මම කියවන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. ඔකම ඒක නෑ. හැබැයි ඉතින් එක්සෑම් එකේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් આવොත් මේ ටික ලියන්න. මම කියපුවා ලියන්න එපා. මම දුන්න නෝට් එක ලියන්න. right? අරක මම කියන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ගිහින් යන්න විසිට් කරන්න. 6th ඔයාලට යන්න ඕනේ 6th floor එකට යන්න. 6 වෙනි තට්ටුවට. 6 වෙනි තට්ටුවට ගිහලා හම්බ වෙලා බොරුවට බැංකෙන් කියලා කියන්න එපා. Tell them that you are going to your intention is to start export business. So you need help. You need what are the items you can export under GSP plus. Then you can collect the data. You can collect the data. Sometimes they will give you the data in a disk. Then it will customers have brochures collect කරගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වගේ practical sessions ඔයගොල්ලෝ කරන්න. Right. Then the last one, organization, but I'm going to Ceylon Chamber of Commerce. Ceylon Chamber of Commerce was established on March 25th, 1839, when Sri Lanka was known as Ceylon under British rule. Right? Make history ke thina. Make history ke naman kawadakat question ek yahanne. Make the history for your information. Right? Then the business services provided to exporters and Chamber of Commerce, they are also a little bit active, and they do a lot of work along with banks, because for many years I was in the their banking technical team with reviewing various guidelines and rules and all those things with Chamber of Commerce. I mean, Lanka actively participate kala. Some other banks or customs or issues commonly customs issues, and then customs represent to discuss with them and to sort out the issues of most of the banks. Right? A banking sector we go hand in hand with Chamber of Commerce, making representations on behalf of its members on business matters. Right? Their members are banks and importers and exporters. The issuance of certificate of origin is a business of Chamber of Commerce, right? And certifying other commercial documents for exporters, right? Then after certificate of origin, conduct of Meganang certificate of origin, in most of the countries, they are the authority who issues certificate of origin. Conduct of commodity auctions, tea, rubber, spices, gems, allied products, right? Tea auctions, rubber auctions, spices auctions, gems auctions. Right? When I was a clerk at Standard Chartered Bank, when I was a clerk, I'm talking in 1975, 76 right? Felix, are you there in the class?
Yes, sir.
All right. Felix, at that time, Felix, I was just a clerk, right? But those days, Chamber of Commerce was near the then what CTO building CTO building ex-serviceman association tea rubber auctions. So while working in the bank, tea rubber auctions will out my අපි නිකන් පයින් ඇවිදගෙන අවුවෙම ගිහිල්ලා අර පිටිපස්සේ බංකුවල වාඩිලා බලන් ඉන්නවා මොනවද මේ කොහොමද මේ options වෙන්නේ කියලා. That's how we gathered our knowledge. මාත් එක්ක එතනට ගිහිල්ලා බලලා ඇවිදලා වැඩිපුර හොයාගත්ත අනිත් එක්ක Standard Chartered එකේ head of trade උනේ. මමත් head of trade උනා. Right? Standard Chartered එකේ when I joined Standard Chartered in 1973, the guy who trained me, the guy who taught me about ABCD of banking, I didn't know about debit credit. What a debit credit was, what a under the because I have done science, but debit credit was done. Debit credit I get part of the guy. Debit ku hum gonna part, credit ku hum ka part. I think in the way debit credit. Debit, credit. This is how we learn, right? The matter banana gannapu like a senior. After 25 years, when I was leaving the bank, I left as the head of trade, and he was one of the clerks in my department doing bank guarantees. ඉතින් වැඩක් තියනවාද මට උගන්නපු මිනිස්සයා අවුරුදු 25ක පස්සේ වැඩක් තියනවාද අපි ඉගෙන ගන්න ඕනේ කියන්නේ ඒකයි. I am really proud of you people. I am really proud of you people. You are learning something, but only thing is what you are learning, what you have learned, you have to put into practice, right? And don't stop from this sessions. This is only the opening, and from this opening you have to go on looking for more knowledge, right? It is up to you. We are only showing you the path. A path එකේ අනේක උගල බලා ගන්න. කවදාකවත් වර්ධින්නේ නැහැ. මොකද you will be doing, you will go extra mile than the others, so you will get highlight, right? I'll give you another the මම කරන ඔයගලගේ මොරාල් එක නක් ගන්න මේ කරන්නේ මේව නම් මේ ටික ඔයගලට මේකෙන් බලලා ඉගෙන ගන්න පුළුවන්. මම තව එකක් කියන්නේ if you don't know ගිහලා බලන්න Dubai horse races is one of the most famous horse races in Dubai, right? Dubai horse races the winner will get about $5 million US dollars, $5 million US dollars. ඒ වගේ කප් එකකට යන්නේ, right? එකපාරක් මම බලන් හිටියා during the horse races HSBC, we used to put up a hospitality tent for our customers, hospitality tent for our customers. ගොඩක් අපි import trade, export traders තමයි මේ අපේ customers තමයි අපි entertain කරන්නේ. මේ එතෙන්දී එක රේස් එකකදී මට මතක නැහැ 2000 වලදී 2001 ද 2 ද කියලා මට මතක නැහැ. එක රේස් එකක් දින්නා Sheikh Mohammed the ruler's horse was the winner, right? That was a photo finish. Photo finish එක අන්තිමේදී අපිට පේනවා ලොකු ස්ක්‍රීන් එකේ ආපහු රිවයින්ඩ් කරනවා දානවා රිවයින්ඩ් කරනවා දානවා to get the winner. රාස්ටයාගේ කොම්බේ කළු පාටට තියෙන නහය හරි අන්න ඒ හරියෙන් ඒ කියන්නේ අඟල් 4ක 5ක කෙන් තමයි අර අනිත් අස්සය හොම්බ දාන්නේ. දෙන්නේ නැත්තම් අපේ naked dice වලට it was tight. අර වගේ කරලා දැම්මේ. එතකොට first එක කෙනාට $5 million, second එක කෙනාට $50,000. Just imagine. This is the same stories, same situation in your banking sector also. All are good. In your banks, all your colleagues are good, equally good. So you have to be the best among them. You have to be the best among them. For that, you have to go an extra mile. And ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් ඔළුවේ තියාගත්තොත් පුතාලට කවදාද දූලට කවදාවත් වරදින්නේ නැහැ. කවදා හරි මට ආස කවදා හරි අපි තව ටික කාලෙකින් අපි මේ නවත්තන්න දෙනවනේ මට. අපි හොඳටම නාකු වුණාට අපි කොවිඩ් වලින් මරුනේ නැත්තම් මේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ අපිට කියනවා නම් සර් මම දැන් මේ වගේ තැනක ඉන්නේ කියලා. That is the most entertaining message we can get. That's how you can reward us, right? And යන්නේ එතෙන්ට යන්න ඔයගොල්ලෝ යන්න ඕනේ මේ වගේ places visit කරන්න. Visit කරලා හොයාගෙන you do your own private investigations and then try to help the customers, right? That way you can go a long way. Okay, now මේ ටික ඔයගන්ට කියවලා ගන්න පුළුවන් ඔක්කොම උගත් EDB එකට කිට්ටුයි කරන දේවල්. හැබැයි මේක කරනවා issuing letters of introduction to members traveling abroad on business that they do, right? They issue letter of introductions to their members, exchanging information with chambers of commerce in other countries, right? ඔය ටික අපිට ඉගෙන ගන්න පුළුවන්. Right. Okay, I think we have finished the presentation. Now, what I want to tell you is I think now I have finished. I think before I start the session, I discussed this with my whoever the guys who are presented, right? I don't know how many people are now joined, right? We have about 24 people. I don't think we need any more classes at the moment, right? And I have discussed with our Director General, IBSL, your exams. Before the exams, at least 1 month before the exams, because at the moment, yesterday's health guidelines, they have stopped. They have not given the okay for us to start physical classes. You saw that, right? Tuition classes, lectures, universities, all closed. Even though we are going to open on Monday. So, but very soon, they will open it because we have to live with COVID for the next 2-3 years. So once they give the okay green light, like last time, I need you for another 3-4 classes physically, because still we have to check the document checking, box checking then we'll have to do the assignment. Assignment කරන්න මේක බෑ. මෙහෙම assignment කරන්නත් ගන්නන්නත් doc checking ගන්නන්න බෑ online, right? ඒක physically අපිට එකතු වෙන්නම ඕන. අපි එතකොට එහෙම වෙනකොට ඒ කාලේ වෙනකොට අපි බලමු for the time being we'll take this as a study leave වගේ. study leave වගේ එකක් අරගෙන අපි දැන් පටන් ගමු පාඩම් කරන්න. මෙච්චර දවස් ගියම පාඩම් කරමු. එක්සෑම් එකත් මට හරියටම කියන්න බෑ. එන විදියට. මොකද for the second time also our DABF and IABF has been postponed indefinitely. We don't know. So anyway, I'll give you one guarantee. Immediately, I'm not going to have the exam. At least 1 month අපේ තියෙනවා. මොකද අපිට වර්ගුත් එක වාඩිලා කරන්න ඕන. අනික තමයි, even though I have finished my presentations and lectures today, right? Except for until we meet again, මේ ටික ඇති ඔයගලන්ට හොඳට පාඩම් කරන්න. By Monday or so, I will forward 1 or 2 or 3 past papers in the system. Is Menaka you're still connected or not? Menaka? මේනක ගන්න බෑ. මම මේනකට කෝල් කරලා කියන්නම්. එහෙම වුණොත් මම ඒ පාස් පේපර්ස් තුනක් මම අප්ලෝඩ් කරන්නම්. ඔයගලගේ online platform එකේ. So that you can go through it and get ready with the questions. ඒතර ගන්න කාල් තියෙනවා බලලා. ඒතර ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා මොන පැත්තෙන්ද පාඩම් කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒවා කොහොමද තනියෙන් ඔයගොල්ලෝමයිනේ. What about your first assignment? I haven't got it. You all have given to IBCL.
Which assignment?
When you have
We have
given,
submitted.
submitted.
Karane, sir.
Yes, submitted on the system.
All right. Please tell your friends who are in our class also to submit their one, because now it's, I think the deadlines also passed. I will collect it from Menak and I'll mark those things, right? ඊට අමතරව ඔයගලන්ට මොනවා හරි questions මොනවාද? You have my mobile number, right? හැබැයි එකම දේ, now if you are calling during the morning sessions, you better call, or evening කතා කරනවා නම් Monday and Fridays විතරයි, because all the other days now I am having lectures, right? With Kelny University corporate campus and ඔයගලගේ එක නෑනේ. ඔය දෙකේ මට lectures දෙකම තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒකින්ද රෑ 9 විතර වෙනකන් තියෙනවා. ඒ මොනොත් රෑ 9න් පස්සේ ගොඩාක් ලැවෙන්ඩර්ස් ව දානවා. හැමදාම උදේ වරු ෆ්‍රී. එතකොට පාඩම් කරලා මොනාරි බැරි වෙන ඉවතිලා මට කතා කරලා ඕන එකක් අහන්න. right? හරි බලමු. අයිසරක් මේ වගේ තව උගන්ට ඒරියාස් ඕන නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ කතා කරලා මට කියන්නේ මෙන්න මේ areas sir can we have another class to discuss this particular topic කියලා. Then I am ready. Right? You can call Menaka and organize it, or you can call me and organize it, but not for one or two, a majority. A majority, ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ ඔක්කොම බෑන්ස් ලා කට්ටිය දන්නවනේ. ඒක ඔයගොල්ලෝ කතා බහ කරලා තමනාර ඒරියා ඕන නම් තව සපෝට් එකක් ඕන නම් මේ කරන්න. එහෙම නැත්නම් මම හිතන්නේ ගොඩක් වෙලාට දැන් ඇති කියලා හිතන්නේ. Right? So with that, until we meet physically, I will say goodbye to you. හැබැයි පාඩම් කරගෙන යන්න. එතකොට කවදා හරි අපි කෝල් කරලා physically meet වෙලා within 1 month ඒ classes ටික ඉවරෙච්ච ගමන් අපි exam එක තියෙනවා. ඒ class ටික ඉවරෙච්ච ගමන් අපි exam එක තියෙනවා. ඒකෙන්ද don't wait till the last moment. දැන් ඔබම time එක ඉගෙන ගන්න. UCP URC එක බලන්න. Right? Okay. Thank you much. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Omar, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Putri. If you have any questions, counter personally, I don't know. I'm in the top of that.